Welcome into this week's edition of the Co-Lin Coaches Show. We've got a couple of new sports making their debut, and one of them is our softball team. And joining now is our head softball coach, Meleah Howard. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Glad to be here.
And Coach, obviously this past Saturday you had your season opener, had your home opener as well too. Got to start it at home this year. Not something you got to do last year or I think the year before, but getting started at home is always a good thing. And it was a great debut for the Lady Wolves. You win 17-0 and 9-0 against Reed State. Your thoughts overall on the doubleheader and how well the girls played? Game one a little bit better than game two, and we'll start with that one. But your thoughts overall on the day?
Well, you know, two wins are two wins, and we get to play them here in front of our crowd. Very pleased with our girls. You know, the first couple games are always a little bit shaky and rocky, but our girls held it together really good. They played with a lot of energy. They played hard. So I was very pleased.
And we'll go straight to game one, 17-0. You scored 7 runs in the first, and you really felt like, despite the fact that Carson Huey got up there, hit a really hard out, and then you went and got the next 5 batters in a row on. You blinked and you were up 4-0. You scored 3 runs in the third, 7 in the fourth. I think you got to play near about everybody, almost emptied out the bench in this one as well too. Got a lot of freshmen some playing time as well too. Your thoughts overall on this one and just a really stellar debut for the Lady Wolves for the season?
Well, you know, home opener, getting to play everybody is a big deal. You know, getting experience is something that we've got to do with the freshmen and the sophomores that didn't get as much experience last year. But yeah, I was pleased with our defense. I was pleased with our pitching. I think our hitting could be better. I know we scored 17 runs, and you're like, could be better. But I mean, you know, we didn't hit a single home run, and that was one thing that I was a little disappointed about. Was I want us to swing the bats a little bit more aggressively. But overall, I was pleased.
You look at it, and 17 runs on 17 hits at 15 RBI, so you earned just about all of them. Kinley Maudaire led the way in this one. She was the only one that was 3 for 3, but you had Abby Burnett, Morgan Chisholm, Avery Williams, Emery Warren all had a couple of hits as well too. Everybody in your starting lineup got a hit. So again, you said you'd like to see it hit better, but you also like the fact that everybody that you played and everybody that was in your starting lineup got at least one solid hit in this one.
Right, and that's definitely a positive. Reed State they're a new program, so they're working out some kinks, but just getting to play somebody besides each other is a big deal right now because I know our girls are tired of scrimmaging each other.
And you look at the pitching lines as well, too. Emily Richard started this one. Feels like she picked up where she left off last spring. Had a really good kind of end of the season last spring, really turned it on in the national tournament, had a great game against Parkland. Came out against Murray State, played really well as well too. Ran out of gas a little bit there against Murray State, but it really felt like she was really solid for you. 4 innings pitched, no hits, no runs, only 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, solid line from Em. And then Emma Kate Fimiano comes in, you get a combined no-hitter, no hits, no runs. She struck out 2 of the 3 batters that she faced. So a really good day for your pitchers in the circle in this one.
Very good day. And like you said, Emily left off in a good place, and she's picking right up where she left off. And the thing I love about Em is Em didn't get barreled up a lot. You know, she spins the ball, she moves the ball well, and she's consistent with what she's going to do.
And then, so you look at game 2, and in this one, you kind of spaced out the runs a little more. You scored 3 in the first. 4 in the third, and then had to go to the 5th and scored a couple. Breeley Phillips hits a walk-off double that scores 2 there. It makes it 9-0. And this was a game that, when it got started, had a little bit of a delay, had an injury for Reed State. Pitcher took one off the knee, so they had to make a pitching change and those kind of things. Maybe threw the girls off a little bit because wasn't who you were expecting to see and those kind of things. But your thoughts on this game, and despite the fact that it wasn't the best game, maybe offensively, because the hitting numbers were down in this one, you still found a way to get that win.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, they're starting their pitcher who is signed to Reed State to be a pitcher and really takes her out immediately, So I know that threw a kink in the coach's plan. And so then they brought in a girl who we had never seen pitch before, and I don't think she normally pitches a lot, and I think for our hitters it was a struggle because she just lacked consistency with throwing strikes in the zone. So it's hard to be ready for a certain pitch whenever your pitcher's constantly throwing balls. But still pretty good. I was on them pretty hard about our at-bats. Again, I think our at-bats have to be better, especially when we get closer to conference. We've got to be better. And that's one thing I told them, our motto is good enough is not good enough. And, yeah, it was good enough that day, but we've got to be better. But again, you know, some bright points.
Right. You look at this one, Carson Huey and Breeley Phillips. Those were your top two batters in this one. Carson 1, Breeley 2. In this game, they reached base safely in every plate appearance they had. Carson had 2 hits, 2 walks drawn. Breeley, 3 hits and a hit by pitch. And like I said, Breeley with that walk-off double. And Carson, the power lefty, Carson Huey, hits a big triple that scored a couple of runs in that 4-run third inning as well too. So a ball that Carson hit, and I thought initially off the bat, I was like, that might have a chance to get out of here. A little bit different ball this year. Maybe if it's the ball from last year, that ball does get out. But 2 hits as well from Emory Warren. So Emory with a great debut, 4 for 6. And any weekend is a great weekend. Doesn't matter who the opponent is. But
absolutely.
you know, again. Olivia Baines also drew a couple walks in this one. She had some really good plate appearances throughout the week. I thought, you know, she's picking up kind of, hopefully you can see where she can get that momentum she had last spring and those kind of things. But you look at the circle, another good outing from your 2 pitchers. Keegan McCorkle throws 4 innings, 1 hit, 7 strikeouts. Taylor Everson comes in, gives up a hit and a strikeout. 8 strikeouts in this one, 19 on the weekend. And anytime you have 19 strikeouts in 10 innings, it's going to be a good weekend for you.
Yeah, and then to go back to game 1, EK threw the final inning of game 1, and I was really proud of her. EK didn't throw a lot last year. This year as a sophomore, I've already kind of told her, hey, I'm expecting you to throw a lot more this year. You know, she owned the mound, the 1 inning she was out there, but I was really proud of her and her performance. But yeah, Keegan and Em both were able to start a good bit last year, so they have that experience under their belt, and so was Taylor. And the thing I like about all 4 of those pitchers is they all have a different look. Yeah. So, you know, for the teams that are really good hitters, we're able to give them 4 different looks just with our sophomores. And we do have 2 freshman pitchers that didn't get to throw on Saturday. It's hard when you only play, 9 innings, 10 innings on defense. Mm-hmm. Hopefully we can get them some time on the mound soon.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think you could say is a strength of this team. Even though Kara Biswell is gone, you've got 4 pitchers. 3 of those saw significant playing time and saw a lot of starts, right, including in the national tournament and in region play and those kind of things. So, if there's one advantage this team has coming in, it is the fact that, maybe you don't have a lot of pitching, but you do have a lot of really good depth coming into this season.
For sure. And experience is always a positive going into the new season.
And so now you look ahead, a little bit of an anomaly. Now you get an 11-day break. You don't play again until next Wednesday on the road against John Melvin. That's a team we saw here last year. I think they're coming back here later in the year as well, too. How do you keep the girls focused for the next 10 days on the next opponent, and what do you know about the Millers going into that one? I know you'll play them, and then I think you'll travel, and then you'll be at Gulf Shores. So Miller's a little bit of a tune-up before you play some really tough teams in that Gulf Shores tournament.
For sure. I tried to schedule a game and couldn't find anybody to play in the break right here, but the good thing is we were able to play. We were able to see some things that we need to get better at. And so this next week, that's what we're going to focus on is what do we need to do to get better so that when we take the field again, we can fix those things. So we'll go to John Melvin. They're going to be better than Reed State for sure, I think. But I don't know. Our biggest thing is play Co-Lin softball. Right. No matter who we're playing, go do what you do, and we'll be fine.
Right. Well, I believe John Melvin, you might get a chance to see an arm that you've seen from this conference with Obey from East Central being over there as well too. Yes. So maybe see a little bit of a familiar opponent, somebody that you know, somebody that you faced last spring in the region tournament or national tournament. Yeah. So lots of good things happening, lots of exciting things happening. It was a fun opening weekend of softball for the conference as a whole. Lady Wolves highlight their openers, 17-0, 9-0 wins over Reed State. Again, they'll have an 11-day break. Won't play again till February 12th. We won't get to talk to Coach Howard till probably after they go to Gulf Shores, come back and have played some really good teams as well too. We'll have a lot of softball to talk about then. Stick with us through the break. We've got baseball coming up at some point during our show, as well as basketball too. We'll find out how all of our teams have done over their last few. Stick with us after this.
At Copiah-Lincoln Community College, you'll find a family of instructors and staff who truly care about your success. And not to mention a really fun college experience too. Co-Lin was recently ranked number 1 in the state for student success. So whether you need to start or finish your college degree, take classes on one of our 3 campuses or online, Co-Lin is the place to be.
Welcome back in. Thanks for sticking with us through the break. First up, men's basketball, and joining us is our assistant basketball coach, Aaron McIntyre. AMAC, thanks for joining us again.
Thanks for having me.
And obviously, AMAC, a week where you went 1-1. You finally got that big conference win under the belt. Team played really well in that one, but we're going to go back and talk about the Jones game, a game where, maybe a little trepidation going into that one, playing arguably one of the best teams in the conference, if not the best, and one of the best teams in the nation. And guys came out and played really, really well. You walked away from this one feeling like you almost gave it away in a sense because you out-rebounded them. I know on their stream they were talking about how they've never seen a team out-rebound Jones like that this year, and you lose this one 82-78, another game where you came up just a little bit short. But your thoughts overall on how well the guys came out and played despite the adversity of, again, Coach Sanders not being there, being under the weather and those kind of things. But the guys played really, really well and had a really great showing.
Yeah, I stressed to them in pregame that we're the underdogs. No one expects us to win. We have nothing to lose. Go out there and play hard. I feel like Dakota and Devin and Prince really played hard, really left their heart out on the floor. Dakota had a huge game for us. If he can play like that every game, we'd probably be undefeated. But some games he, just struggles a little bit. But Dakota came out and he was hitting shots and making plays, and Devin was doing the same. So kind of gave us that push.
And you look at this one, you outscored them 43-42 in the first half and had a little bit of a lead. They kind of scratched their way back to it, cut it down to that 1-point lead, and then they outscored you 40-35 in the second half. And, the second half really, you had a chance to probably take a lead late, couldn't get a shot off, unfortunately, then had an intentional foul called at one way or the other. I don't know that it was an intentional foul, but it was called that way. That gave them 2 points in the ball and still had chances there late. You talked about it. Dakota Hillard and Devin Bates both had double-doubles, but it was a three-headed monster. And again, on their stream, they talked about that all night, talked about how well those three played together. I think at one point you had to take two of them out, and that's kind of what led to the little run by Jones that kind of helped them have that lead. But Dakota, 28 points, 10 rebounds. Devin, 22 points, 13 rebounds. Prince nearly missing a double-double, 19.6 rebounds. If those three play like that the rest of the year, you've got a shot at winning everything.
Yeah, for sure. And we got to get some help from the bench, but I feel like, they'll step up when their time comes. I feel like we played a really good game altogether. We had a really good game plan going in. Jones is a really good team. Give credit to them. They made some tough shots. LJ Hackman made a lot of tough shots down the stretch, and I think that's what ultimately pulled them away.
Right. And then you look to this past Monday, a team, again, we talked about it last week. This is a team that you had beaten by 17. So, you don't want to take them for granted, but you also go into it knowing they're playing a little bit better than what they were then. We're playing a little bit maybe not as well as when we were then, both playing different styles of basketball, certainly. But you get the win in this one, the first one in conference play, 69-65, one you really had to battle and kind of grit out, and it was really back and forth there for a while too. Your thoughts on this one and how the guys were really able to overcome it, had a first half deficit, had to have that come from behind effort, something that you've done all year. You really had to come from behind it, and maybe that's where you used a lot of energy is having to make up big deficits. But your thoughts on this one and how the guys were able to show some resilience and get the win.
Yeah, Mississippi Delta's a very tough and scrappy team. They fight. They're not going to let you just win. And we knew that coming in. I feel like we were off a little bit in the first half. We didn't seem like the same team that we've been. I stressed to them in the second half at halftime that we have to come out and we have to hit them in the mouth. I think we did that. Prince came up big down the stretch for us. So.
And you look at this one, they outscored you again 33-30 in the first half, and that was a first half that was really kind of back and forth. They kind of pulled away late, but guys were able to cut that lead down and make it that 3-point deficit. And then in the second half, you outscored them 39-32, and it really felt like even though it was a little back and forth, once the guys got the lead, it was really ours to hold on to, and I don't think they ever gave it back once they got it. I think Delta got within one, but we're never able to tie it or get the lead back. I'll get the words out here in a second, I promise. And then you look at the box scores, and we're going to throw these numbers out, and they may be a little head-scratching because these are low numbers, low-scoring games, so low numbers for everybody. But Devin Bates flirted with a near triple-double, had 15 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds. I jokingly said at one point, Devin may get a double-double, and neither stat will be points early in the game. It looked like he may have been struggling a little bit with a shot. They double-teamed him a good bit. Prince Ojukwu nearly another double-double, 14 points, 8 rebounds, and Dakota Hillard had 10 points, 2 rebounds. Not a great rebounding night from Dakota. Got you some points late when you needed them, and then you had points up and down from the bench and your other starters as well too. So this was kind of that total team win and total team effort that you need going forward to be able to win out and secure a spot in the region tournament.
Yeah, we definitely got to have more than 3 people score. Dakota's main focus was Davion Traylor, and he's a great player. He had an athletic, crazy dunk in a 2-3, but his main focus was defense. So he kind of laid off the offensive end. Devin did struggle. He was kind of confused with what I was telling him. I was telling him to attack the rim. He thought that meant no shots, shoot if you're open. So I kind of explained that to him, and he ended up having 12 in the second half. But yeah, great team win. Everybody contributed. And we're looking to do it again against Northeast.
You just mentioned it. You turn your attention to Northeast. You got to go up there, a long ride up there. Got to go up north. And anytime you got to go up there, even when you leave early and, you maybe take a break for lunch and those kind of things, it still makes it a little bit tough because you got to go about 4 hours on a bus. And a Northeast team that has struggled kind of as of late. I think they've lost 3 in a row, whereas our guys starting to feel a little good, feel really good. No, we've been playing really well. No, we should have some wins. What are you expecting out of that bunch? Another game where you're going to have to coach solo because Coach Sanders is still a little under the weather. We hope he gets to feeling better. Hope we'll have him back next week. But what are you expecting out of that bunch going up there?
I know they're a tough team. Their identity is defense. They're going to full court press the whole game, so we got to prepare for that. If we can limit our turnovers and make shots, we'll be fine.
And then you turn your attention. You'll come back home as we have this whole second half throughout the conference play. You'll play on Monday. You host Pearl River. A very good Wildcats team comes in here. What do we know about that bunch? What should fans expect in that one? It's going to be the pink out game as well too. So lots of fun things happening during that game. Encourage fans to wear pink for that one. But what do we know about the Wildcats heading into that one?
Well, they're 18-3, 7-0 in conference. They're a really good team. They're well put together, well coached. So all the credit to the coaching staff. They do a great job with that team. We're gonna have to fight. We're on our home floor, so we need fans to come out and support. It's a pink and red out, by the way. It's Valentine's Day colors, so they can wear either.
So lots of exciting things happening for the Wolves. Again, they get off that 5-game slide. They lost 1 to Jones. That was the 5th loss in conference play, but pick up that big, important first win in conference play against Delta, 69-65 this past Monday. On the road at Northeast is upcoming Thursday, 7:30 tip for that one. At home against Pearl River on Monday, February 10th. Also 7:30 tip. We say 7:30. It's 25-ish minutes after the girls get done. So if you can't make it for those, we'll give you the streaming information. But obviously, we'd love to have you come out to Mullen Gym and support both the Wolves and the Lady Wolves. Stick with us through the break. Joining us next will be Dr. Britta Stephens, our head women's basketball coach. We'll find out how the ladies have done in their last couple and then preview their matchups against Northeast and Pearl River after this.
This year, the Co-Lin Foundation celebrated raising more than $1 million in support of the college. Those funds help provide scholarships for students, professional development opportunities for faculty and staff, support for athletics, technology and campus upgrades, and more. When you give to the foundation, you're making an immediate impact on Co-Lin students, faculty, and staff. Join us as we back the pack by giving today.
Welcome back in. Thanks for sticking with us through the break. And as promised, our head women's basketball coach, Dr. Britta Stephens. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
And Coach, obviously a week where you went 1-1, really felt like you probably should have gone 2-0, felt like you played well enough, had a little spurt against Jones where they were able to take advantage of some stuff. But you look at that, when you went to Jones, you lost 74-70, a game that might have even been closer than the 4-point margin that it says it is. Your thoughts overall on this one? Probably a little bit disappointed, I would imagine, knowing you probably felt like you let this one go, even though you had some chances there late to try and find the win.
Yeah, this was a disappointing loss for us, especially on the road against a team that we felt like we should beat. Jones going into this conference game had not won a conference game, and their record was not very strong. But when you went back and looked at their overall record and their conference record, not only had they played some of the best teams in the conference, they had played some really strong competition. They had played 5 or 6 teams that were in the top 25 in the country. So I knew going in that they were a better team than what their record showed, and we talked about that with our team. But this is one that we let slip out of our hands. hands. We should have gotten it. We got down big. We got down 11 early in the first half. Their press really bothered us. We turned it over a lot against their press in the first half. And the biggest statistic that stood out to me after the game, we turned it over 23 times, and we were 11 for 24 from the free throw line. It's very difficult to win games when you do those two things and you get out rebounded, which we did. So, about 48% from the free throw line. Very, very hard to win and very disappointing when you shoot that poorly in a 4-point game.
Right, and you look at the box score, it was tied 19-19 after the first quarter. They outscored you 23-16 in the second quarter. You outscored them 15-13 in the third and 20-19 in the fourth. So you won the second half, but unfortunately they won the first half by just a little bit bigger margin. That's how you get the 4-point loss. And then you look at the line scores. Cookie Wilkinson did what Cookie Wilkinson does in this one. I joked and sent a message to Bryce while we were watching. I said, Cookie's on pace for 40 right now, and probably would have broke 40, maybe would have even got close to 50 had she played the whole game, had she not had to take that little bit of a spell. Got maybe, I think, a little dinger there on that assist early in the second quarter. She had 35 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals. Cam Pruitt had a really good game, had a double-double, 10 points, 13 rebounds. I thought she was a monster on the boards. It really felt like they did not have an answer for her. Then you had points up and down throughout the box score as well too. 7 from Maddie Mitchell, 5 from Imani Key, 4 from Kirsten Haynes, 2 from Kristen Swalters, Tyra Johnson, Jay Robinson, and Kylan Bell. So you've got points from pretty much everybody that you played. Just needed to find a way to get a few more either through the line or from the field as well too.
Yeah, we had lots of offensive production. And again, Cookie's a special player. I'll probably never coach another player like her in my career. And so that makes me upset next year because I've got to replace somebody who's scoring that many points. I love the fact that we've got a lot of returners and we'll have a lot of experience next year. But when you have someone who's scoring that many points and who is that special, you do have to replace them. And that makes my job as a coach very, very difficult. She makes my job as a coach easy most nights because she can score points. But she does so much more than score points. You look at her line, and you and I were talking before the show. She's the leading scorer in junior college women's basketball right now. She's 6th in the country in junior college women's basketball in steals. There's so many things that she brings to our team. Every night she has 4 or 5 assists. She has 4 or 5 steals. She has 4 or 5 rebounds. And she's a quiet scorer. Sometimes I look up and I don't know that she has 35 because she takes such good shots within the flow of our offense, and she gets the sneaky little steal in the layup, or she gets the offensive rebound in the layup. So her play, not only is she playing well, but she's helping the others around her play well. She's putting Cam Pruitt in positions where she can score. I thought Cam was really good in this game, both offensively and defensively. Jay Robinson doesn't get a lot of recognition because she does not score a lot of points, but what she brings to our team on the defensive end and then on the rebounding spectrum, it's almost irreplaceable, what she does for us. Maddie Mitchell, again, not a kid who scores a lot of points. Don't even know if she scored in this game, but defensively, her defensive intensity and her defensive pressure are things that they're just so intangible, and you can't teach that. I was a little disappointed late in this game. And I'm going to take the hit for this. I've got 9 freshmen. With about a minute and a half left, we had only committed 3 team fouls. And I told them, I said, hey, let's foul. I wanted to commit the 4th foul so that we could be in the position to foul later on in the game if we needed to. We committed the 4th foul, and I said, all right, don't foul anymore. Let's guard this possession. And we guard for about 15 seconds, and then Maddie Mitchell fouls. And I was so disappointed in that. And I don't know that she fouled intentionally. It was just one of those things that happened. But I was so disappointed in that because we were 2 points down at that time. We were in a really good spot, and that foul allowed them to get 2 easy points that we shouldn't have given them. And maybe it changes the outcome of the game. I was very pleased at the end of this game. We did a great job executing side out of bounds. We did a great job of guarding late in the game when we needed to get steals and we needed to force turnovers. So I was really proud of that. I couldn't fault our effort. This was a disappointing loss. The only thing I could say is we've got to get better against pressure. We can't turn the ball over as much. We turned it over 14 times in the first half. That kind of dug a hole that we couldn't get out of in the second half. And then shooting free throws, we've got to do better at that. And
then you turn to this past Monday. You faced a team that we talked about it last week, a team that hammered you early in the year. You lost by 13 and really probably could have been worse than 13. I think this was probably, like we said, 25 turnovers in this game or something like that.
I think that may have been the 33 turnover game.
Yeah, it was a lot. I remember us saying this was a game we had really harped on turnovers, but in this one, you got the win, 63-55. You defended home court, and I think the thing that stands out the most is it was a come from behind. You fought the whole time, grit, resiliency, toughness. That's a hallmark win for this program because you handed Delta just their third loss all season. All three of them have come in conference play, but you beat a really good Delta team in this one. And your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Delta is a very, very good team. And going in, when you looked at their record, they had only lost 2 games, both conference games, to Itawamba, who I think is a very, very good team, who I think has a very good shot of winning our league, and then Northwest, who is a good team. They've, their conference record is very good. So going in, we knew this was going to be a tough challenge. And they had beaten us at our place. We did not play very well. I remember coming back from this game, and I may have been madder than I've ever been because we turned it over so many times. And I have such high expectations. I want us to be so good, and I want us to do. And sometimes I forget that we've got a lot of freshmen and a lot of inexperience. And so I have to pull myself back sometimes and go, Coach, maybe instead of being so mad, maybe you need to teach, and maybe we need to grow and things like that. And so this one, I felt like would we be up for the challenge. They're a very good team. They've got 2 guards who are averaging in double figures. They've got 2 posts. They had 4 players who were averaging in double figures. And when I looked at the stat line after the game, their 2 guards both got in double figures, but that was it. Nobody else on their team scored more than 4 points. And I credit that to Cam Pruitt and Jay Robinson and Tyra Johnson. Those 3 did an outstanding job of not only guarding their posts, but rebounding. And then our guards, even though they had guards who scored in double figures, Cookie Wilkinson and Maddie Mitchell and Imani Key, those kids did a great job of guarding. They accepted the challenge. I think you said it. It was a toughness win. We guarded from the first possession to the last possession. There was grit and there was toughness from everybody on the bench, everybody we put in, and we did a great job of that. We did a poor job, once again, of breaking their press. We turned it over. I didn't feel like we were very confident against their press. When we broke their press, we were able to score. But when we weren't confident, we just had a really hard time. So that's something we've got to continue to grow and continue to get better at.
You look at the box score in this one. You outscored them 15-13 in the first quarter. The second quarter is where they really took advantage. They outscored you 21-11. That's where the press really got to you right there. They had a big lead, 34-26 at halftime. You outscored them 12-10 in the third quarter, but still had a big lead that you had to overcome in that fourth quarter. This is where really you made the difference. You outscored them 25-11. And anytime you score that many against one team in a quarter, you like your chances as long as it's not the only quarter you do it in. Right. And we've talked about it before. When you win 3 out of 4 quarters, that's a good recipe for winning basketball. And you look at the line scores. Another game where Cookie goes for 30+. She had 34. And at first it was kind of a quiet night for Cookie, and then she really turned it on late. You and I have talked. She had that little cramp issue after she goes for a layup. She hits the floor hard. She starts cramping up. Fortunately, we got charged for a timeout, and then she drank some pickle. I said she drank some pickle juice and basically turned into Superwoman at that point. Might have to have that every time, but because then it really felt like that's when she started pouring it on. 34 points, 5 rebounds, 5 steals, 2 assists. A solid line from Cookie. One that I think it goes unsung is Imani Key. Imani Key came off the bench this one, had 13 huge points for you. She found ways to get you in. She's actually the only one off the bench that scored for you in this one. So just shows you how important that was. Cam Pruitt narrowly missed a double-double, 9 points, 9 rebounds. Kylan Bell, 5 points, 4 rebounds. And Jay Robinson, 2 points, 3 rebounds. Again, players that we've talked about maybe don't have those big scoring numbers, but what they give to you is so invaluable. And it's going to be huge next year that you have all these kids that have had all this playing time for their sophomore years.
Right, yeah, the experience, game experience is so invaluable. I know 2 kids you didn't mention at all in the stat line there, Maddie Mitchell and Tyra Johnson. Neither one of them scored, but I felt like they both did an excellent job for us, especially defensively. Maddie, she's so quick and she can affect plays, and yes, the girl she was guarding scored, but she didn't score nearly as much as she usually does. And I felt like Tyra Johnson was a big piece of that puzzle, who came in and helped us contain their post and keep their post to under 10 points combined. I thought that was a big, you don't always get credit when you don't score points, and they deserve a lot of credit because it does take all of us. Again, this was the first game that I felt like we could put a complete game together, a complete team effort, and we played from tip to buzzer. I felt like it was a complete game. And, Cookie got banged up. I was not happy that they made me use my timeout. Timeouts are precious. They're like gold to me, and I believe in keeping those in my pocket. And she was hurt. I wanted her to be able to get the timeout, and we needed to get her the medical attention that she needed. Thankfully, it was just a cramp. But when the official made me use a timeout for an injury, I was less than thrilled about that because I knew that it was going to be a tight game, and I knew that we were going to need it to timeout advance late. Timeout advance is something people that don't watch the game or don't know a lot, the men don't have that in their game, and we have it in our game, and it has absolutely changed our game. And it's one of my favorite things that we've done in a long time because I feel so comfortable with our team when we've got a 2-point lead or a 4-point lead with less than a minute to go and we've got 2 or 3 timeouts. In my mind, I'm going, all right, we've practiced these situations. We're going to be fine. And I knew that, but I would have felt a whole lot better if we would have had 3 instead of 2. I thought we did a really good job down the stretch of guarding. I thought we did a really good job down the stretch of blocking out, and I thought we did a really good job of down the stretch of taking really good shots. Imani Key was really good off the bench. We had more balanced scoring in this one than we've had in a lot of the games. Imani was really good off the bench. And, she's a kid who started some and who's come off the bench some. She's been coming off the bench the past few games, and I think I kind of like that because she gives us a spark off the bench, and we need that spark off the bench. We have people who come off the bench, but they're not as big of a scoring spark, and so we do need that scoring spark. She was a little frustrated with herself after this game because she had 13, and she probably could have had 20. She missed some easy, she missed a couple of easy layups, she missed a couple of easy pull-ups, and after the game, I told her, I said, hey, you want those shots to go in? Yes, ma'am. Get in here and shoot 15 or 20 minutes, a little extra, that's one of the reasons Cookie's so special. And I don't always talk a lot about this. When I was going to lunch, that game was on Monday. When I'm getting ready to go to lunch at 11:30 on Monday, she's coming in. She doesn't have to tell me what she's doing. I know what she's doing. She's coming in there to put extra shots up, and it's why her shots go in, and it's why she's so successful because she puts in the time.
Yeah. So you look ahead. You go on the road this Thursday. We talked with AMAC about these already. You're going to go up to Northeast. You're going to play a Lady Tigers team. Don't know much about them. Maybe close to what you've been going through this year as well too. A game where you might have some of the most fan support you've had on the road with Kaylee Johnson going back home. So I know she's looking forward to that. I know her family and friends and fans are looking forward to being able to watch her. But what do we know about the Lady Tigers heading into that one and going up to Booneville to play them?
Well, we know that it is a monster trip to Booneville. It's almost a 5-hour trip to Northeast, but it will be nice to have some Wolfpack fans instead of a crowd that's totally against you, which under ordinary circumstances, it would be an all Northeast crowd. So it'll be nice to have some Co-Lin fans there for Kaylee Johnson. Very similar team to Delta, long, athletic, really good guards. They rebound the ball incredibly well, which gives me a lot of concern because we don't always do a great job on the boards. They press. Again, I've got some concern about that because we have not done a great job of handling pressure. I think if we can handle their pressure, if we can break their pressure and get it a half-court game, I think we've got a really good chance of winning this game. Defensively, we've been playing really well, so I'm very confident in that. But their pressure concerns me. They've got one kid who's a sophomore who I told Coach Ray this morning, I said, she's just relentless. I said, she's a relentless rebounder. She just goes after the ball every time. So we're going to have to be as relentless as she is to block her out. So again, I've got some concerns. I think they're a very good team. I think they're a team that's going to finish in the top of our league. We are kind of in the middle of the pack. We really need this win. We really need to go on the road and win. We have not gone on the road and won a conference game yet. And so for us, this is a big time game. We need to go on the road and win, because if you don't go on the road and win this one, now you're putting yourself in a position where your back's going to be against the wall, and we're going to have to beat a Pearl River at home or go to Coahoma. But the games are just, there's getting to be less and less games. So we've got to start stringing together some wins back to back to back. Right. So if we could find a way to get this one would be huge. It would be huge not only for our win tally, but some of the teams that we're tied with right now, we would have the tiebreaker over them because we have beaten a good Delta team. And if we could beat Northeast, that would be a very good Northeast team. So that would give us some tiebreakers over them.
Then you look ahead a little bit. You'll come back home on Monday. You face probably the toughest test you've had at home since the Lady Bears came in, but you'll have the Lady Wildcats of Pearl River, a team that, you and I have talked. A lot of people anticipate them being one of the top 2 to 3 teams in the league. What do we know about them? What are we expecting out of the Lady Wildcats when they come in here on Monday?
Kevin, I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell you every time. I have not looked ahead to Pearl River. I don't, I score watch. I know that they've been playing well. I know they've been ranked in the top 25, and I kind of roll my eyes at that because their preseason schedule, they played some teams that I roll my eyes and go, really, if you want to be a top 25 team, is that really these D2 schools that you're playing, are those really the schools that you need to be playing. I know they're a good team. I know they're very well coached. I know they run a lot of stuff. I know they've got some talented players. But other than that, I have not looked ahead. I'm very happy that it's in the confines of Mullen. Having to go to Poplarville and play them on their home floor is difficult. When anybody has to come here, I have a whole different level of confidence. And our schedule, and we talked about this with our team, our schedule is built for us to be very successful at home because we have the best teams in our league, who I feel like are some of the best teams in our league, coming into Mullen. Pearl River, Itawamba, Gulf Coast. Those three are coming to us. They're going to be tough and they're going to be hard, just like the Delta game was. But we're in our gym with our fans, and that makes a huge difference.
So lots of good things happening for the Lady Wolves. Again, they go 1-1 over their last two, drop a close heartbreaker to Jones on the road, and then rebound and get an 8-point win over the Lady Trojans of Mississippi Delta. They'll go on the road to Northeast, play against the Lady Tigers. Kaylee Johnson returning home. We get to see all of her friends, family, and fans. We'll give you the stream information for that. For everybody else who can't make it up to Boonville. And then friendly confines of Mullen Gym on Monday for the pink and red out Valentine's Day colors, as Valentine's Day coming up later that week against the Lady Wildcats of Pearl River. 5:30 p.m. tip-offs for both of those. Stick with us. One more segment after the break. Baseball makes its Coach's Show debut this week. Coach Chamblee will join us, and we'll talk about how the Wolves have done in their opening couple of series after this. Welcome back in. Thanks for sticking with us for our final segment. Joining me for the first time this year on the Coach's Show is our head baseball coach, Adam Chamblee. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Coach, you've played 5 games, played your first 5, and you're 4-1, the best mark that you've had in your 3 years here to start a season, and 4 straight wins. I think that's the longest win streak we've had in your tenure as well, too, and in 2 really big ones. We're going to talk about those in a second. We're going to talk about the first 3, though. You start off with Southwest Tennessee. You go 2-1 against them. You drop game 1 in a heartbreaking fashion. Let's talk about that one first and how it felt maybe to kind of get that bitter taste of loss. Go ahead and get it out of the way, get it done with. You know you're not going to win them all. If you lose the first one, hey, we can win 52 more after that.
Yeah, and that was pretty much what I told the guys. It's like, hey, man, I mean, to make the situation a little lighter, hey, guys, we're not going undefeated. We now know that, so you can forget about that. But, we did want to – I obviously did want to win opening day and just get the win out of the way, get your first win and kind of get the monkey off your back there. But, really, really tough game. I mean, probably, I've told a couple people, probably one of the toughest opening day losses I've ever been a part of. Just a back and forth and our guys fighting. Just a really good baseball game, super competitive. And then the way that it ended was just unfortunate, but that's baseball and things happen, and that's why you keep playing. And hey, we're 4-1 now, so just keep on rolling. But it was a tough one to swallow, but we got to play again the next day.
Right, and you look at this one, you take a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the first, and welcome back Dylan Wesson. Thankfully, gets one that we talked about it. He really didn't get all of it, but he got enough of it to get over. Had he gotten it all, I jokingly tell people he might have put it in another zip code. Yeah. 2-run home run gives you a big 2-run lead there. You carry that all the way to the 6th inning. That's when the Salukis scored 3 in the 6th, took a 3-2 lead, and then you responded with 3 in the bottom of the 7th. Took advantage of an error or 2 in that inning, scored 3. Unfortunately, they scored 1 in the 8th, and that tied it, I believe, at that point. Or made it 5-4 at that point, and then 2 in the 9th on a error on a pop up that if you catch it, you win the ball game. That's it. It's a 1-run game. Hey, it's a good win. But despite that, you still had chances. You had the go ahead. You had the tying run at 3rd, go ahead run at 2nd with the top of your lineup coming up, the spot you want to be in. And unfortunately, back-to-back strikeouts. So I think that's a byproduct of You look at this lineup, it's a lot of freshmen. It's very freshman heavy. We talked about that before the season. No Tucker Jones in this one. He's dealing with a little bit of an injury, a little back problem going there. Hope to see him soon, but obviously situational baseball changes if he's in there, but those were growing moments for their freshmen, and I think you're starting to see it pay off already for those couple of guys who didn't come through there, but they've had moments and they've come through for you since then.
Yeah, it's like you said. I mean, kind of reiterating the same fact. It is a lot of freshmen. It's their first ever. Yeah, we got to play some fall games with those guys, but a fall game does not compare to a game that really matters in the spring where it all counts and the nerves are going and it's opening day and everybody's excited and so I think that does play a factor into it, but a lot of those guys have stepped up and we're excited about what they can do for sure.
You had 5 hits in this one, so you scored 5 runs on 5 hits, 1 hit each for Caleb Brooks, Trey Davidson, Dylan Weston, Gavin Bledsoe, Evan Holofield, all new faces to the program except for Dylan Weston. Dylan Weston only played in 11 games last year, coming back, took that red shirt, and he's able to come back and play and has made an impact already. And then on the pitching side, a great debut for Wes White, 4 1/3, 2 hits, no runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Parker Ishii pitched an inning of relief, got a little banged up, gave up 3 runs, all of them earned 3 walks, 1 strikeout. We'll talk more about him later. He had a great outing for you in a big sweep. Carter Leggett pitched 2 1/3, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 1 strikeout. Judd Griffin, in a third of an inning, gave up 1 unearned run on a walk and a strikeout. And Lucas Harrington, unfortunately, took the loss in this one on 1 inning pitched, 1 unearned run, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. So not terrible lines from your pitchers. You had more strikeouts than you had walks, 10-9. That's kind of always you'd like it to be a little wider than that. But hey, anytime you can go out and say we had more strikeouts than walks, that's always a good thing. But your thoughts overall on how the pitchers did and how a lot of guys making their debut in their first action this season.
I thought Wes was what we know that he is. Pretty much, he went out there and did what Wes has done since he's been here. And we knew that with him coming in. But another guy that's making his first ever college start, but he did. I mean, we couldn't have asked for a better start. So he gave us a chance to win the game, and then those other guys, I mean, all the guys you named are guys that we trust and want to go to. Like, if you tell me we use all those arms in a game, I would tell you, yeah, we probably win. And we were right there, right. And had opportunities to win the game. So that group of names that threw in that game, I really like our chances against anybody. Yeah, I mean, I thought all those guys came in and competed. Ishii, not the best outing for him, but he came in relief, and obviously we found out he likes to start. We found that out yesterday. It's all about, it's a learning curve too, and figuring out our team a little bit more as we go.
And then you fast forward to Saturday, you get a chance to rebound. So not only you get a chance for 1 win, you get a chance for 2 and get a series win. Not many times you get to say series win in our level, but you get that, you get the sweep. You take game 1, a back and forth affair, 10-7, and game 2, 7-5, and that was a 7-1 ball game until they scored 4 in the 7th inning. Your thoughts overall on how good it was to see the guys bounce back and take 2 really different kind of contrasting styles of baseball games. Like I said, game 1 back and forth. Game 2, you had the big lead, you extended it, and they tried to mount a comeback, but your guys were able to slam the door on that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, awesome to see, especially early in the year when, once again, going back to the tough loss the day before and finding out early what our guys are about, which I'll be honest with you, I knew what we were about. I know what we're about. I knew that they would come out and play because that's just how we try to do things. Don't try not to get too high, try not to get too low, and just, hey, man, it's over, flush it. That's what I told them after that game, and let's play tomorrow and come out. And I never doubted that I did not think we would come out sluggish, or if anything, it's like, hey, it's a new day, and you took a tough loss, now come out with even more energy, and that's what we did. And just continued to battle. I mean, all day long. Once again, back and forth, just like game 1 was. Mm-hmm. Game 2 is back and forth. And thankfully we were able to win that one. But I was not surprised at how we responded at all.
Right. And you look at game 1, and game 1, team scored in all but 2 innings. You scored 1 in the first, 1 in the second, 2 in the third. 2 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th, 3 in the 8th. And the 8th inning is where you pulled away from it because at that point it was a tie ball game because they scored 3 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th, 2 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th. So it was kind of quiet for them at the start, really busy in the middle, quiet at the end, and it kind of felt like the Wolves were kind of loud throughout the whole thing. This was Saturday was a day me and Bryce Perry were both kind of back and forth throughout the whole day from y'all to softball, so we didn't get to sit and watch as much as we did this one. But you look at the lineup, everybody but Gavin Bledsoe and Reese Thomas got a hit. That's a little unusual for Gavin and Reese, but 3 hits for Trey Davidson to lead the way, a pair of hits for Lucas Harrington, Dylan Weston, Avery Griffin, 1 hit each for Evan Holifield, Brady White, Caleb Brooks. Those 1-hit guys, again, those are new guys figuring some things out. They're starting to turn it around. And not that they're starting off bad, but you're liking to see that the bat is starting to heat up a little bit for them. And on the mound, Cohen Weinhofer, you and I talked, 3 2/3 inning, 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, was really good for most of that outing. Struggled a little bit near the end. That's when he kind of got in trouble, gave up the runs, but solid outing for him. Tanner Blackwell comes in an inning at 2/3, 2 hits, 2 runs, both earned. 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Jacob Buffalo, an inning of relief, 3 hits, 2 runs, both of them earned, 2 walks. And Nash Sturdivant actually came in relief, got the win on 2 2/3 innings. Scoreless baseball, gave up 3 hits, but had 5 strikeouts in 2 2/3. So a really good outing for Nash in that one.
Yeah. Once again, I mean, all names right there, and I think all freshmen, right there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we've definitely got some depth, and I thought Cohen gave us a solid start. We've played 5 games, knock on wood somewhere over here, but I feel like we've gotten a solid start in all 5 games. I mean, and that's probably pretty rare early in the season. But he gave us a solid start. I mean, all those guys, once again, are guys that we're going to go to and count on. And, we were at least able to stay in it and obviously win the game. Right. So I was really happy with Cohen's start.
Right. And then you look at Game 2. Game 2 was a 7-inning affair. You kept them quiet until the 5th when they scored 1 and then 1. And then I mentioned in the 4th they scored 4. And then the Wolves scored 2 in the 3rd, 3 in the 4th, 2 in the 6th. That's how you get the 7-5. And in this one, everybody but Trey Davidson and Sam Cook didn't get you a hit in this one. So, everybody else that we talked about saying got a hit, plus Gavin and Reese, 1 hit each for 9 hits, 2 hits each for Caleb Brooks and Avery Griffin. And this one, I think up until yesterday, probably your best start on the mound came out of Jennings Kimbrell. 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run on 4 hits, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. You'd like those strikeouts to be a little bit better than the walks, but you'll take it, especially considering he got the win. Braden Cooley comes in, a kid who last year came as a freshman, didn't get to pitch at all, had an injury, took that red shirt, came back. I thought he did really well in his debut. 1 inning pitched, 1 hit, 2 earned runs, 1 strikeout. Darren Robbins came out, got a little roughed up. I think he gave up a 2-run home run in this one. 2/3 of an inning pitch, 2 hits, 2 strikeouts. Caleb Flynn actually got you the save. He was the one who came in after, I believe they got the tying run, came to the plate, and Flynn came in and he got a big strikeout. He faced 2 batters in his outing, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, got the save there. So turn to one of your sophomore lefties. He came through for you there. But overall, a good quality team win there for you in that one to get that sweep.
Yeah. And Jennings, a guy that pounds the strike zone normally maybe a little more than he did in that game. We were surprised to see the walks up, but he's a guy that we really, really trust. Now, I think he's the kind of guy that he may not go out there and punch out 10 to 14 or 10 to 12 or so, but he's going to be in the zone with 2 to 3 pitches all the time, and he's just going to force contact. So we know that with him, and we were definitely happy to see that. So, and that game, I really wanted it to be 7-1, to be honest with you, just because 7-1 looks a heck of a lot better than 7-5. But hey, a win's a win. But they just got that ball up, the home run off Darren. I think it was the shortstop, who's a really good player. I mean, he played really good all weekend. So, like I said, 7-1 would have been great. But hey, man, it's a series win, and we're pumped about it.
Series win, and you get to say we were 2-1 on the opening weekend and come out with it. And now we turn our attention to this past Wednesday. You go on the road. You go to a place that historically, the Wolves have not had a lot of success. You go over to Delgado, playing Kershroney Stadium over in New Orleans, and you get a sweep. And this felt a little sweet of a sweep. And, you know, usually you wouldn't say this about a sweep this early in the season, but this is one that feels like it could be season-defining and really program-defining, because as I talked to you before we started this, you got to remember this is a team that last year you go and beat them in game one, you're set up to get that sweep, and they dropped 22 on you in a 7-inning game like it was nothing. And that didn't happen this time, and that feels really good. But you go to game one, a 5-2 ball game, a game where you gave up the lead in the 7th, had to come back, scored 3 in the 8th, and did it in some really fun ways, and in some ways I think you kind of caught the Dolphins off guard. Your thoughts overall on game one and how the guys were able to just grit it out and show some toughness in this one?
Yeah, I mean, you know, another tough game. Like every one of them have been that way so far, you know. But yeah, like you mentioned, able to score some runs late after we gave the lead up with a couple safety squeeze plays, and you know, just making some things happen with some guys, and that's kind of been our approach to offense, you know, all year, and our guys know that hey, we're here to score runs. You know, it's not necessarily about how many hits I can get, or, you know, or us just up there swinging the bat. It's let's get across, let's get guys across the plate, and we were able to do that. So again, against another really tough team, and you mentioned, you know, the tradition at that place, and sweeping them, I mean, it doesn't happen a lot. You know, that's a program that's been to the World Series, I think, 5 or 6 times, right. You know, so winning is in their program. They know how to win. They win a lot, and to go sweep somebody like that is a really big deal.
Right. And not only was it a sweep, as we mentioned on our post last night, it's the first sweep against a nationally ranked opponent in your tenure, and that feels huge. You know, you've had opportunities to get those kind of moments, and you haven't been able to, but this team was able to get that one for you. So again, that's why that sweep just feels that much bigger. It feels like, you know, early in the year you can see things are trending in the exact right way you want them to for the Wolves. You look at this one, and yeah, you scored 5 runs, but you look at it and you had 16 hits. Yeah. That might be the most hits we've had in a single game since you've been here, but you scored 1 in the 3rd, and that was enough with the way Lucas Harrington was pitching to hold on to it until the 6th when they tied it with 1. You took the lead with 1 in the 7th. They scored 1 in the bottom of the 7th, sent it into extras. And as you mentioned, a couple of sack hits. Tip of the cap to Avery Griffin. You know, I think y'all called him napping a little bit. I don't know that they were expecting Avery to drop it, and even if they were, I think they were expecting to go foul. And based on what the broadcasters were saying, it kind of got into somebody's shoe print in the dirt and just sat there. So that was how that run came across. And then Reese dropped one pretty much within 2 pitches. You know, so that was how you were able to get that. And then another base hit scores you another one. But you look at this one: Gavin Bledsoe, Trey Davidson, Sam Cook, all with 3 hits. Everybody in the lineup had at least 1. Avery Griffin with 2. Lucas Harrington, Dylan Weston, Evan Holyfield, Caleb Brooks, Reese Thomas, all with a hit. And as I mentioned, Lucas Harrington threw you 5 innings, got a no decision, no runs scored, 3 hits, 5 walks, 6 strikeouts. A couple of those walks came a little bit late. He was a little more balanced until that last inning. Carter Leggett came out, struggled a little bit, only pitched a third of an inning, gave up 1 earned run on 2 hits and a walk. Wes White gets you the win in an inning and 2/3, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 1 strikeout. Nash Sturdivant, a name we mentioned a second ago, came out and he just slammed the door. Gave up 1 hit in the 1 inning he pitched, but was able to get you that save there. So another quality outing from all those arms.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, again, a bunch of names that you know, that we're going to continue to go to, and guys are proving themselves early. You know, and I think for Leggett, I don't think I thought he looked fine, and I mean, nothing there. It was more so, hey, let's go to Wes White and get, I mean, it's a really tight game, and let's try to get it to one of our, I guess we feel like one of our best guys, you know, and that was kind of the thought there, and didn't really want him to throw as many pitches as he did. That was not the plan, but you know, he still stayed in a reasonable pitch count, and we'll have him again this weekend sometime at some point.
Yeah. I watching Lucas yesterday, watching their live stream, I was really impressed with the growth from his freshman year last year to this year. He was working really fast, and even pitches when he missed them, you know, like I said, 5 walks, there were several of those that had one pitch gotten just a little more of that corner, he probably has double-digit strikeouts.
Yeah.
He danced around the plate all game. He didn't miss with very many of his pitches. And then you look at game one. Game one, a very different affair. A pitcher's duel. You only had 4 hits, but you scored 3 runs because you scored 1 in the first. They tied it with 1 in the third, and then you took advantage of an error, I believe, by the first baseman that scored 2 runs, and that's how you get to 3-1 because you were able to slam the door. And I think if we can call this one, it's the welcome to the Wolfpack Parker Ishii.
Yeah.
We'll just go ahead and jump to that line. 6 1/3 innings pitched. He gave up all 8 hits. They had 1 earned run. I think the biggest thing, no walks.
Yeah.
I think he maybe had a 3-ball count once in that game, maybe twice. And the other big one, 10 strikeouts. He joined some pretty elite company. I did some research this morning before our show just to see where he sat. He joins only 2 players in the last 3 years since you've been here to have double-digit strikeouts, and both of them did it twice last year. That being Connor Pittman and Kobe Gallat, and both of them are at Memphis and MC respectively. Kobe doing really well. Hadn't seen Connor's lines yet. I don't think Memphis has started yet. So, but expecting big things out of him. And anytime you mention a name with those two, you're in rarefied air in terms of Co-Lin history.
Yeah, absolutely. No, he was really, really good. Velocity was more than it's ever been. I think he was up to 92 or so, which not that's, hey, we're still here to get outs, but I mean, 92 in the zone with other pitches with a slider and a changeup. I mean, just absolutely pitched his tail off and competed his tail off and wanted to stay out there, even though we had to go get him because of pitch count and early in the year and that kind of thing. But, man, yeah, heck of a job. I mean, it kind of felt, to be honest with you, I know it was a 3-1 game, but just with him on the mound and how well he was doing, it felt like we had a bigger lead than we did because I think they kind of knew, man, as long as this guy's out here, like it's gonna be tough. But yeah, I'm super proud of him and glad to see him do it.
Right. I think a couple of times they got runners in second and third and with 1 out, and you thought, oh man, is this going to be that moment for them? And are we going to have to try to find a way to come back? And I think both times it happened, Parker was able to get like back-to-back strikeouts, or was able to get a pop out and a ground out or something like that. He just found ways to get outs last night, and that's what you need out of a pitcher. Yeah. And then you tip your cap to Darren Robbins as well too. Came in, got you those last 2 outs, got his first save of the year, gave up 1 walk, so a good outing from Darren as well too. Now you turn your attention to a team you're going to play 4 times in 3 days this weekend, 1 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday in St. Charles out of Missouri. What do we know about that bunch? What are we expecting out of them? Obviously, we know the Wolves are riding high. You're on a 4-game win streak. You want to win 4 more and keep that rolling. But what do you know out of that bunch as you get ready for them?
Well, that's kind of what we're going to use today for. We got through yesterday with Delgado, and we've already kind of looked at some stuff, but going to try to watch some video on them today and gain some more information. But historically, they are usually pretty good. I know Coach Fless said that they played them last year when he was at East Central and said they were, they were deep on the mound, really, really physical. So just a bunch of guys that definitely looked apart. So they are usually good. I think they beat Hines last year, maybe a couple times. So another quality opponent. So far we hadn't played a bad opponent by any means. So 4 games with them, expecting it to be, if I can handle it, 4 more dramatic type games. I think I'm aging pretty quick in 5 games already on this season. But, just excited about the opportunity, really, for our guys to just keep competing. I love watching them go out there and compete their tails off. But also the opportunity for some guys maybe that haven't been named to get an opportunity this weekend, especially on the mound. You got 4 games. That's a lot of innings. So guys got to step up. So we're going to find out, what some guys are about and hopefully come out on the positive end of all 4 of them. I'd love to be 8-1 after Sunday.
All right, so lots of exciting things happening for Wolves baseball. Again, off to the best start under head coach Adam Chamblee, 4-1, including a huge sweep on the road against nationally ranked Delgado, number 25 in D1 in the NJCAA. They'll be here this weekend at Sullivan Field Friday at 4. Saturday, a doubleheader at 2 and 5. Sunday, a single game at noon, all against St. Charles Community College out of Missouri. If you can't make it out to the ballpark, follow on social media. We'll give you updates as they are available. Don't forget, we've also got basketball on the road this Thursday. Tennis is at Delta State, both men's and women's tennis on Saturday. And then on Monday and Tuesday, men's golf in action as well, too, along with basketball hosting Pearl River, 5:30 and 7:30 tip-offs for all of those. I'm Kevin Kyzar, Sports Information Coordinator here at Co-Lin. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.